Broadcasting from Hollywood, California, it's Grant's Rants, Hollywood Talk.
The private collection of Joan Rivers is up for auction. Michael Jackson continues to creep us out. Jamie Foxx and Katie Holmes are a couple, and we're excited for the OC and Jersey Housewives. Taylor Swift steps out with her new man. That and much more ranting with Kelly Williams and Jen Gam right here. Let the ranting begin. I'm sitting across from two friends of mine, and we're getting ready to talk a lot about things, a lot of different things in this episode, so definitely pay attention, please, because it's going to be good. I am sitting next to my friend, TV Encyclopedia Kelly Williams.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course, Kelly and I go back to the NBC Page program, and we're still NBC buddies today.
We're
each other's sounding board for a lot of things, to be honest.
Yes, a lot of ranting going on between us.
Very true. G-chat all day, like a lot of stuff happening. And through Kelly, I know my new good friend, Jen.
Hi.
What do we call you? You're the animator enthusiast, the animation enthusiast. Jennifer Gam is here. You ready to rant? Are you ready to talk?
Yes, okay. I'm so excited to be here. I have been waiting for this for a while.
I know, you've been patient. You've been patient, and I'm so glad that it's time to get going.
Yep.
All right, let's talk about a few things. But first, let me turn my attention to a little thing I want to talk about. I want to turn my attention to the shootings that occurred in Florida, and this really affected me very much, and I have been just addicted to following this and trying to remember the victims and looking at everything that's happened. And I'm also super involved right now in following the politics behind this and what is not happening. You know, most people, it's like, oh, well, what's happening in Washington? Well, nothing. And I've been just following this sit-in and this filibuster. It's been like, I never thought I would extend leaving for lunch to watch C-SPAN.
I completely agree. I think this is finally the event that woke everyone up, and they're not going to take it anymore. So I'm completely plugged in as much as you are, just watching everything I can. And it's kind of a nice, refreshing way to really see how our government works. And I feel like so many people were so checked out because of the election, and they're just dissatisfied. So really wanting to see their voice and action is finally happening, and that's that to me is the good that is coming out of this crazy, terrible event.
You know, all I can do is just hope for the best, and I called my senators, I called my House rep, and the rep of mine from Rhode Island has an A+ rating with the NRA, so I knew that was going nowhere. And the woman I talked to on the phone, she said, oh, okay, well, good luck. And I said, yeah, well, we're all going to need some luck. We're all going to need luck, let me tell you.
I think that this event is really the tipping point for our presidential election, because depending on how the candidates respond to this, because it's been such a tidal wave, that I really think it will change the direction of where our president who our president will be, I think.
I certainly hope so. I mean, who knows what's going to happen. But it's exciting and super maddening all at the same time that I'm ashamed by Paul Ryan for hiding in his office and for all that he's said and not said in the press. He likes to hold these press conferences where he laughs at Democrats and calls them names, but they're the only ones there. He's not even doing his job. And, you know, you can stand wherever you want politically, but basically he is failing. He's making the system fail. He's failing to do his job and to show up and to listen to folks that represent their constituents. So, I mean, I'm just super tied up into it, and I just think that we need to do something like so many Americans, but yet they like to say that it's the majority, doesn't want to have any of these background checks and loopholes closed. I mean, it's just it's literally just like slamming your head up against a wall constantly. Everything you read is just so backwards.
Yeah, it is crazy how the arguments I'm seeing, and I feel like I've had to kind of either delete or block or hide so many things in my news feed.
I agree. I've had to step away from social media for
really
a few.
crazy to kind of see the ignorance that I did not know really was out there in my social circle. So I am just kind of taking a step back and okay.
I do agree. The ignorance is too much. I had to remove a few people because it was just stupid. You could tell these people were just on drugs making comments. I mean, they were using correct English. Words were missing.
Or they're malinformed, misinformed. They just don't know their facts correctly, or they're just responding out of what they think they know.
I think you'll always find some source to support your point of view, but it's just really amazing where people are getting their information and using it as gospel. So that has been another very interesting turn of events coming out of all of this.
I mean, I had one Facebook quote friend who I removed, and then I didn't even refresh the page. I had a notification, and it was him adding me back. Do you get notifications when people remove you? It was instant. It was almost like he was waiting for me to unfriend him because the comment was so ignorant.
That's so crazy.
It was very odd and instantaneous. But what can we do except hope for the best and hope that our government will listen to the people. This show is not about politics, but this really got to me, and I've been so fired up. Anyone that follows me on Twitter knows I've been retweeting up a storm. So I just felt like I wanted to use this platform to shout it out and to say, look, they've been saying, enough is enough. But let's talk about a few other things. Let's have some fun on the show.
Yes,
because I want fun.
We came here to have fun.
Yes, so let's talk.
and wine.
And wine, of course.
Let's talk about Joan Rivers and the auction that Christie's is holding at her New York apartment extraordinaire, or wherever it is now. She sold that space. But these are the items, jewels, things that were in this amazing space, and she's selling a lot of stuff. I mean, what kind of caught your eye? I mean, there's a great article in Vanity Fair, photos, descriptions. What were a few things that you noticed?
I mean, the one I saw was I think it was a brooch or like a bead, a giant brooch that size, and it was just crystals and diamonds, and I'm like, I can only imagine how much that was. And she probably, I wonder how many times she would wear something like that, and then she would just forget about.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I am a huge jewelry person and a huge real estate person. So what caught my eye was a $1,500 estimated dog house.
Yes. It's a little realistic.
I could not imagine owning something like that. Let alone
what's inside. What's inside that makes
it? I'm sure a really plush pillow or something.
Made out of I can't. it blows my mind.
A rare duck feather from the Netherlands or something. You know what I mean?
Certainly doesn't know.
Or they
$1,500 dog house. So I'm out.
Crazy.
Very odd, very odd. There were a few things. Speaking to the brooch that you mentioned, there was one of many. I mean, they were all beautiful, but they said that the crown jewel was a platinum flower brooch that Rivers designed, and it evolved over the years. I guess they added to it. They added a removable stem, and that she had her mother's earrings made into the petals, and that's estimated to be worth $30,000 to $50,000. So
wow.
I mean, super custom, very nice. But here's what I'm saying: she's got so many things on this list that are so nice that they're auctioning. Yet, I can only imagine what they kept. If this is stuff her mother's earrings are on this, Melissa's grandmother's earrings are on it, yet it's we'll sell this one. So what are they keeping?
I can only I mean, the real estate alone that Melissa just sold is unbelievable.
The apartment, the one apartment that she had.
The one New York apartment on its own is just unbelievable. So I
$28 million.
Even imagine what else was in there. I remember when they hosted the red carpets, that's when she would really show off a lot of the jewelry, more so than from what I remember, performing and doing stand-up. So I feel like there's a lot of gems. If we kind of look back at some old red carpets, we'd be seeing a lot of what Melissa got to keep.
Yeah, well, there was an ochre evening gown with a cape that was worn at the 1990 Tony Awards. Oh, man. So there you can just imagine. There you go.
I can only imagine like the different the animal print, like giant winter coats that she flaunted in, different like shows and like red carpets and even stuff from like the 70s. I can only imagine.
Yeah. There's no one like Joan. And there's probably no wardrobe like her either.
Oh,
miss her.
Yeah, she's getting rid of a lot of different things, and they're all, they're not untouchable. Some of these things are like $1,000 or $2,000, and then you get into things like these outfits that are just like this one silver-tipped, gold-mounted star, sapphire, and diamond pendant. Well, that will set you back between $70,000 and $80,000 right there.
Casual.
Yeah.
I wonder who. I'm curious as to who's gonna be there. Like who are they sending, or because I learned about like that whole the whole business of auctioning and people who they send and whatever. Yeah, and it's just really interesting to see who's there and who actually shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I'm sure, with the jewelry, if the stones are as great quality as I anticipate, they're probably going to kind of take apart a lot that stuff. And
really?
If it's, I would assume so. Or not, if it's super antique, but often that happens.
They, take it apart?
They'll take it apart, they'll use the stones for something else, they'll redesign, they'll create a bigger piece, something. And it depends who the client is, because a lot of times they'll have a client that's just like, I need an 8-carat sapphire for this piece that I want to design, so go find it for me.
That's so interesting.
Happens to be in Joan Rivers pendant, then that's where it came from.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. Yeah, this will be an interesting mix.
And it, depending on how long it goes, it can go on for a really long time.
Knows?
Melissa was on Wendy Williams, my Bible.
Oh, interesting.
And
that's an interesting choice.
Yeah.
Didn't think that was her brand, but okay.
She was on there and she's talking about how there's an online auction and then there's the one in New York for this big stuff. Mm-hmm. And she was really hawking all this stuff. It was there's something for everyone. It was kind of like a garage sale the way she talked about it.
It's kind of interesting to me because she doesn't need the money. So is this going to a foundation?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Going to
they always
herself. I mean, it doesn't seem like
because auctions
always for cash here. So is this going? Liz Taylor auction was amazing, but that went to her AIDS foundation. Mm-hmm. So I'm just wondering where these proceeds are going.
Oh, I'm sure Christie's is going to take a big
chunk of it.
Ugh.
Especially with the service and the maintenance and everything.
Yeah. Oh, we'll have to keep an eye open on what happens to all the stuff.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing what comes out about it.
I feel like some celebrities probably want some of her stuff, just, how they're just
because.
Showpieces.
Yeah.
It totally could be wrong, but I think Mariah Carey owns, something of Marilyn Monroe's, and they
always do that. Yeah.
These, showpieces. So I wonder if I'd be interested to see if there's any names that we know that buy her stuff.
Well, from one superstar leaving things behind to another of a different kind, Michael Jackson is back in the news. Well, it's you never know. I can't with the story.
I can't. It was when I heard it, I was like, is this even happening? I just couldn't even fathom.
We already know this stuff. Why is this still kind of a new? I guess anything Michael is always going to be a news story, but just thanks for telling me what I already know.
Well, what we found out, or a review perhaps, was that 80 videos, hard drives, diaries, audio tapes were found, or not were, well, they were turned in while there was an investigation going on in 2003, and they consist of things like, of course, child pornography and animal sacrifices and animals getting tortured and things like that. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to say, but, really grotesque and disgusting things. And the sheriff said that the photos were evidence that they used when they investigated him, but others were found online. And I read that a couple times, and I didn't really understand what he meant. Like, does that mean that some are part of the evidence, and then because page 6, no, actually, it was Daily Mail, which is like, you never know.
Ooh. I mean, I love their stories, but they are what they are.
Yes. Well, Daily Mail had an article that was like, see Michael Jackson's secret stash of odd photography. And I was like, can this even be like on, like, can I even look at this? Like, what is this? What even is this? And it was all like freakish clown stuff. Like, there were actual clowns that reminded me of like Freak Show, like American Horror Story, where everything was like a little odd. It was all like pushing the envelope.
This did come from Neverland Ranch, which was in itself kind of American Horror Story hotel. So
I'm always thinking, like, he had so many like people that wanted to bring him down. I'm wondering if they might have just put it there, or like if they might have like intentionally put that stuff there to make him look like he did. He was into that.
A lot of that going on, but also at the end of the day, the way I see it, he was a super talented, messed up child star. So the story is really not that different than any messed up child star. It's just on such a bigger scale.
Well, but there was also molestation involved in child pornography. I mean, people do years for that.
I don't doubt that he should have, but. We'll never know.
We'll never really know. Yeah, I mean, I stopped looking at all those things. It was just so freaking. I was like, I don't want to dream about this stuff.
Hours of coverage of the trials.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Hours.
He got sick during that time too, because it was so taxing on him emotionally and like just physically.
Hours, weeks, and oh gosh.
Well, I remember I was actually in my friend, listener to the show, Talia's bedroom, and we were listening to the radio of all things when they announced that he was, what he was announced as what, innocent and all that? Or no, he faced some charges, didn't he?
He had some, but he was acquitted of the major things that would have put him in jail for a very long time, but
I remember listening to that with her, and that was on the radio of all things. Yeah. And then after that, that's when I got into the Anna Nicole Smith trial. It was like my job. Well, let's talk a little bit about the Housewives. I want to talk a little bit about Orange County Housewives, and their show is back.
They are back.
Yeah, it seems to be a lot of serious. I think everyone likes an original.
I do enjoy it, but I'm partial to New Jersey. That mess just has me hooked.
Well, it's coming back in July for a 90-minute premiere.
Well, Teresa gets out of jail, so
she does.
There's in the premiere, so there's a lot to.
That'll be so interesting.
It's emotional.
I will tune into that because I followed. See, I didn't watch New Jersey, but I followed the political side, like the news side of that whole
the trial,
and it was just so interesting. Like, what is this housewife star, and like, why is she going to jail? Like, what did she do? Like, she's a housewife star. Like, what did she do that like she didn't like make dinner on time, so she's going to jail for that? And like,
well, it's so funny because I wonder how long it would have taken the feds to figure out all of this had she not been such a public personality.
Well, they did blame the show a little bit. So,
I mean,
come on, you don't go on a show when you have things like that happening.
Yeah, you just can't.
Yeah, and you also don't just sign papers because your husband tells you to either.
But I can't believe, to me, the biggest thing is, like, she's still with him. Like, if your husband, like...
That stems from a legal perspective. She is much better off, I think, at this point, still being married to him.
He's better.
He's certainly better off.
Because or else he'd get deported, right?
I think he still might.
They will come to that ruling when he completes his sentence. So that's looming over their heads. When she's in there, then he was, and they still don't know. So that is like a personal hell in and of itself.
Yeah.
How long is he in there for?
I think it was like 3.
She got reduced from 3. I think he's
To me, I worry.
Excuse me, 41 months he's been sentenced to prison.
okay.
Joe Giudice, 41
I mean, not
months.
that that's,
I know. I mean,
anyways, but I just worry. I think about the girls. Like, I can only, especially the oldest one that's 13 or 14.
Yeah.
That could, like, her future, that could really, like, put her in, like, such a difficult position, like, at school, in college. Like, that's such a pivotal moment in, like, growing up.
Yeah.
we will find out on the premiere.
All right. Yeah.
So stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
And, we'll be talking about it here on Grant's Rants. And, of course, you can catch the after show on AfterBuzz TV. I'll be co-hosting that show. Signing on for I'm doing double duty with OC in New Jersey. And, of course, they go on for like 24, 25 weeks. So this will take me into, like, Thanksgiving. But I'll be watching and I'll be talking about it. So
You know where to find Grant.
Yeah, that's true. Let's talk about someone completely different. Let's talk about Jamie Foxx and Katie.
This is the weirdest couple pairing I have heard of in a really long time.
I love Katie. Like, I loved her for a long time, and I'm even, like, shocked by that. I thought she was just never gonna date, because I think the whole experience with Tom Cruise, like, really, I mean, for me, if I were in her place, I would have been like, I'm not dating for a while.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm free. Really.
Yeah,
I heard.
No, but really, yeah.
I heard like years ago that they were rumored to be together and that it was a real big point of contention because Jamie is good friends with Out of the Fool, Tom. So I thought it was that so they said that they were gonna come to blows and then nothing ever came of it.
Yeah.
But I guess they did a good job of keeping it a secret until ex-Real Housewife and Rhode Islander Claudia Jordan opened her mouth on the Allegedly podcast. And she said, what did she say? She said, he is very happy with her. I like that he seems very happy.
But today, I don't know, it was today or yesterday, she retracted her statements and said that she misspoke. So someone's publicist just went nuts.
Yes.
And she's...
she said
she's in trouble.
She said, I don't have the knowledge of this being fact. I misspoke.
Okay.
That's what you do, and you have to put your foot in your mouth.
Yeah. And then she said, or before that, she said, I have no knowledge of Jamie with Katie at all. I've never seen them together. He's never told me he's dating her.
Oh, man. So someone yelled at her for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, or, I mean... It looks like she's like just a big liar if you do take that into account.
I know, true.
If you do say, oh, well, okay, if you're going to buy into all that, then you think she's a big liar.
There's a picture of her.
But now I know who she is. So, mission accomplished for her.
That's true. So, Katie Holmes escaped with Surrey. Surrey's now 10. And according to page 6...
Crazy.
That's insane.
I remember where she was born.
Yeah, I know.
I remember where she was born.
That Vanity Fair cover. Yeah, really. Well, he supposedly hasn't seen his daughter in 3 years, allegedly.
Yeah.
And they're blaming that on Scientology because they're non-believers. They're considered to be suppressive people. So because of that, he doesn't see his daughter.
So, question.
I've heard
I don't
both
think he
sides.
sees any of his kids.
Well, he has 2 that he adopted.
Right.
With the other than Nicole.
Where are
other
they?
than that, they're in Scientology.
They're both Scientologists. And
Needy.
she got married, Isabella. She got married in England to... I don't know if he was a musician or something, but she got married and it was like all over the London news.
Okay.
And her brother was there. Or I don't know, maybe he wasn't. I don't know.
He's a DJ?
He's a DJ too. And I've seen him like advertised around like
LA.
just in LA.
Really?
Yeah.
I've seen that as well. But because I'm getting the feeling that he doesn't see really any of his kids. It's not just Surrey, but I could be completely
I think
wrong.
he does see. He definitely. He does see Connor and Isabella. I mean, obviously, Surrey. I wouldn't be surprised. I know Isabella and Connor don't care about Nicole. Like they just don't see her. They like
don't
after
consider her a mother.
Yeah, they and Nicole's been like she's public. She never talks about it, but she said that. that it wasn't her choice. It was like Scientology and like overall over the years the kids like, kind of just kept her at a distance.
I feel like the Scientology thing kind of I would run in the other direction as fast as possible.
Yeah.
So it makes total sense to me that Katie would not want her daughter anywhere near him.
Yeah. One thing I always ask when we talk about Scientology and Grant's Rants is, do either of you know any Scientologists?
No.
No. It's just so interesting because they act like they reign supreme and that there's this large group and they do have such a presence, I guess, building real estate-wise in the city, but we don't know any.
I have to be completely honest. I did not know what it was before I was in LA. I have to be completely honest about it. I knew that Tom Cruise was a Scientologist and people would, and John Travolta, and people would talk about it, but before I moved here and actually saw the buildings and like really looked into what this was, I had no idea. Mm-hmm. I would just kind of like nod my head and be like, yeah, he's a weirdo.
Yeah.
I think after I saw that documentary about Scientology, that really put things into perspective.
That was so interesting to me for so many reasons, but because it featured people who got out, who were willing to speak, that is what really spoke to me. And apparently Leah Remini has her show on TLC kind of about her life after it.
She'll be the first one to talk about it. Anytime they say the word Scientology, she's right there to give a statement.
I know. She's kind of like the poster child for the people who got out. Going back to Katie, I feel like just the difference in her interviews. Yeah. When she was under that spell versus now where she's like talking about her clothing line and her business and kind of speaking like a normal person versus the like, we're so in love and like everything's about that and everything is amazing. And I'm just like, okay.
The maneuver that her and her father made to get out of that marriage with Tom has to go down as like
I heard
one of the best escapes ever.
The great escape.
The greatest escape.
I read that she had to buy a phone, like a Metro PCS phone.
Like a burner?
I don't even know. Yeah, a burner phone.
A burner phone.
And she had to like get her own lawyer to get everything. And she like strategically did it in New York because if she did it in California, like she was very smart about it.
But was she? Because she got into it in the first place. So
well,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, she was young too. So if you have someone like Tom Cruise knocking on your door,
I just think it's so weird that we know her as the Scientology wife instead of being
Dawson's Creek.
Yeah, like that's like so out of my memory.
Totally.
And it's
completely.
Just like, oh my God, Katie Holmes.
Absolutely. Yeah. I just remember when they started dating, I'm like, this is so random. This actress from Dawson's Creek.
I don't know, there was a list of potential people that they reached out to be Tom's wife.
Yes.
And she was like number 3 or something.
Oh.
I want to say J-Lo was one of them on the list.
J-Lo was rumored to be courted by Scientology quite a bit because she was always friends with Leah. So she said that they came to her like a couple times and they were like, we really want you to be part of this. Like, can you start talking about the classes that we want you to take? And she's like, no. She's just like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
They don't have this back in New York.
Yeah. This isn't on the 6th, so I'm out.
Let's talk about someone completely different. Let's talk about Taylor Swift and who she's with currently.
I love all the guys. I know, yes, all the way. I love everyone that she dates. I don't care who she dates.
Media strategy is
impeccable.
Unreal.
Yes.
Yeah. I love Tom Hiddleston, and he like that pairing. It just makes me really happy. Although I love Taylor and Calvin, they were really cute.
Yeah.
But I don't know. She's young. Like she's gonna date. That's just how it is.
She has at least 4 more albums in her before she kind of like
checks out. Yeah.
So we're gonna need at least 3 more guys.
Okay.
This is all me speculating, but I feel like when she hits 30, she's gonna be like, all right, let's pick one.
Yeah.
But this is just fantastic.
Yeah.
Staging it at the Met Ball and
the dancing
and the
so you think that's all PR?
Every single part of her relationships when she turned 17 have been orchestrated for her benefit, and I love it.
I mean, I love it too, because I also get to see, like, every guy that she's dated, she's like, she has a new hairdo, and she starts, like, wearing different outfits. So, like, yesterday she was at this concert, and she had this, like, red crop top and, like, this long dress, and, like, her bleached blonde hair up in a, like, it's such a different look, and I love it. I mean, she's, like, growing, her style is evolving, and
see, normally someone like her would annoy me, but I can get behind it. I don't mind her.
Because like a year and a half from now, we're going to be like, which one is the Calvin breakup song?
Like, I love that at the Met Ball, she has, like, you know, dark lipstick. Like, when that's just that's new to her brand.
Yeah.
And, like, that bleached blonde hair.
The thing that I do worry, she's not worried about it, and she's made plenty of money, but she made her money and kind of got famous for having the songs that she's just an ordinary girl in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's the nerd, whatever, and she's so far removed from that I feel like her younger fan base just cannot relate anymore. Like, they're not
I think it's
going
just
to the Met Ball.
Right. I mean, I agree with that, but that happened with Britney too. I mean, and Rihanna was singing about umbrellas, and now she's she's singing about like work it, and like same with Nicki. I'm sorry, but like
I don't ever think. Well, I was not in the demo to relate to her.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know.
I just like
there's nobody cheaper and more of a knockoff than Nicki Minaj.
I think the new guy she's dating, Tom, I didn't expect that. I'm so jealous because I love him. Like, he's incredible.
Know him. I do not know him.
So he's kind of
in a scripted program.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't.
I wouldn't know him.
And he came from like a very well established family, and he went to really great schools in London.
He's also an amazing actor.
He's talented. And like, how did they meet? Like, how did they
Her publicist
called him up?
See, I think Calvin Harris is a lot better looking than him.
Yeah.
He's got a very European, like, London look to him. So if you like that.
An iPod and stands behind a thing and is like, all right, I'm a DJ.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's just very different. Like, two very different.
Oh, very, yeah.
They're like, you know, Calvin's a DJ, and he does like Vegas and EDC, and he's always behind a podium and like on a stage at Coachella, and like that's his thing. And he's, you know, going to BAFTA and like going to BAFTA breakfasts and like lunches in Beverly Hills. Like that's his scene.
It's a different,
a little more cultured for Taylor, I guess.
He goes to Wimbledon now.
Man.
Like he goes to Wimbledon.
He's much older.
He's 35, and Calvin was 32.
But for her, I think that's usually... Well, I don't know. John Mayer was...
Yeah. He was...
And Jake Gyllenhaal, oh my gosh. He was like 15 years older than her.
Yeah. I mean, everyone...
My math is probably
but then she dates Connor, who's like 17.
Oh my gosh. He was 18?
Yeah.
Well, I better hurry up and get this podcast up before she's moving on. This is old news.
You're listening to Grant's Rants. Please rate, subscribe, and share on iTunes and social media. Spread the word. There are a lot more rants to come. Follow us on Twitter at Grants__rants. And now for the one-on-one.
And we're back talking with Jen and Kelly, and we're going to talk a little bit about what they do out here in LA. And we're having a joint interview because both of these ladies are sorority sisters. And they both went to the show, and that's how I know Jen through Kelly. So I figured, why don't we just do a show together? So we've never done a part 2 one-on-one with 2 other people. So let's see how this one goes. Let's talk briefly about what you guys do out here and what brought you out to LA. What are you working on?
So I'm working in advertising, and I moved out here because I went to school, and I wanted to work in entertainment. And when I moved out here, I was like, I want to work in publicity. I want to do PR. That's what I wanted to do back then. And then, just kind of taking different jobs, and I took a lot of like random internships. I worked in music. I worked in publicity for like music publicity. I worked at a production company, And then, I don't know, the advertising job just kind of fell in my lap and I really liked it. And I've kind of just been doing it ever since. I've been doing the agency world. And it's very different from the talent agency world with entertainment.
Yeah.
Still pretty, like, it's pretty intense, but, you're still kind of connected in the entertainment world because, our client, we're doing a lot of branded content and I get to, do a lot of fun stuff. Like we get to go to Honda on stage and like work with different artists and it's really cool, but it's from a different angle from what Kelly, and what you would do. It's just very fun and I really like it. And I wanted to stay in LA and like I love living here. It's it's really tough to live here. And getting used to the transition from going from school to city and like actually being here, it was very hard, but it was, there's a lot to learn from that. And I think one of the things that I gathered from everything was just like persistence and like actually staying on it and like keep working at it and just having fun and finding ways to still not get clouded or jaded by this whole experience because you can just go down the rabbit hole really easily if you don't. So I guess it's just like finding that passion, that thing that keeps you going. And fortunately I'm pretty happy and I'm What
are some things that you work on like directly that we would maybe know of?
So the Fifth Harmony, I didn't directly work on that, but we had stuff like we had a concert for Fifth Harmony that lives in Vivo, and that was one of the things that we work on as well. And Super Bowl and March Madness, we do a lot of sponsorships, premium content, and a lot of exclusive content that lives on different channels. So it's pretty fun and very diverse.
Sounds it, yeah.
It's very, very extensive. We have different partnerships with like different channels like Sundance and the film festival and the TV, the network. So there's a lot, and it's really fun, and there's just so many different things that you can touch on, and I'm always learning, and it's just really fun. I like it. It's very different from like what I thought I was gonna do, which was publicity. I really wanted to do PR and do talent management, but I found my niche, and like it was kind of fun. Yeah.
I think everyone finds their way into something that perhaps they didn't really imagine. I mean,
definitely.
Like me with like all this hosting, like I, started this just as a side little project, and now it's something that I put tons and tons of hours into that I had no intention of getting into by moving out to LA at all. I mean, it wasn't even really on my radar. Like I did college radio and I would host events in like my town and school and stuff like that, but never really anything, but it just suits me the same way this position suits you.
Yeah, it really fell on my lap. I just had no idea. It just it's now something that I'm really happy about, but had you asked me in school that I was going to be doing what I'm doing now, I would have been like, no, like that's completely different, and I want to, work in entertainment, and I want to do like that stuff. Like it was very specific, and then, I don't know, it's interesting. I think one of the biggest challenge, or one of the big takeaways I would have is keep an open mind. Like, have an open mind, because if you don't, then you won't know what you're missing.
Yeah. See, I didn't have that when I went to school. I did not have an open mind about things. So it was like, I'm not going to deviate from what I want to do. Like, I remember my dad was like, no, maybe you should like look at some marketing opportunities. I'm like, no, I already know what I'm doing. Like, I'm definitely doing development, work at a reality show. Like, no, like, you don't know. And so, like, and then I actually...
It's true. No, it's so true, because, but then
I was wrong. I was totally wrong.
Then there's also that you have to follow your passion. Like, there are people that have that passion that they need to just, that's what they need to do. It's like musicians or actors. Some people, they just know that's what they want to do. But in the meantime, while you're trying to achieve that dream, you have to find other ways to keep it going. To keep that dream alive.
Does not pay itself.
Yes, that's certainly the reality of trying to live here and live the dream, if you will.
Yeah.
All right, Kelly, let's talk to you.
Definitely. Same as Jen, we went to school together. I moved out here to go to school, and we were sorority sisters.
Yeah.
That's a story for another podcast. I actually did not stay out here after graduating. I moved back to New York, where I am originally from, and worked in marketing and advertising, which was totally not what I wanted to do. I was very much like you in school, and I knew I wanted to be in TV. I studied journalism and cinema, so I came to school thinking that I was going to be Oprah, and did a huge pivot and realized that I hate seeing myself on camera, and I will probably hate hearing the sound of my voice from this podcast, but I certainly did in my broadcast packages, and loved interviewing people, but I never wanted to be on camera. But telling stories is the most important thing to me. And doing that in television, I've always been a huge TV watcher. I love talking about TV. I love to see what people are watching and what's interesting. And when I realized that that was a job that you could do, that's kind of always where my heart was. But the realities of being in Los Angeles, when you want something, it's not on your schedule. So there was nothing for me at the time that I was looking for it in the kind of TV side of things in LA. So went back to New York, learned a ton. I learned how a business works, how to get people paid, kind of on Jen's side of things, working with clients and getting their revenue and their ads seen by people, and how do we get eyeballs on stuff.
Right.
So that was a great learning experience for me, but when you're in it and you're refreshing deadline and trying to just kind of somehow still be connected to the entertainment world, I didn't appreciate it, but now I'm just like, I could not imagine doing anything differently. Then I got a call while doing that to be in the NBC Page program in Los Angeles, and that's what brought me back. And currently I'm still at NBC working in scheduling, primetime scheduling for the network, so figuring out what's on when, which is very cool, and something that I always wanted to do. So having that opportunity open when there's 4 broadcast networks and probably 15 people that schedule, it's pretty cool to kind of get a seat at that table in such a small world. And there are challenges that come with that. It's hard. People will tell me that they love AMC and they love Breaking Bad when I tell them I work in television, and I don't correct them at this point when I'm just like, oh, not broadcast, not cable. Yeah. The average viewer doesn't really know what's on where and when, so it's interesting. Well, I would say that the viewer in the demo that we're looking for and the way that we make money is not really identifying a program with the network at this point. So it's an interesting shift. It will be interesting to see how it goes, because I will be around for the business shift. I don't know that the people that I work with will be, because they've been in it for a while. So we will see what happens, and I hope to be a part of it. But for now, I'm just gonna keep watching good TV. Yes.
Well, Kelly and I met. Well, we were both pages, and I'll never forget that we met sitting in the empty audience at the Tonight Show with Jay Leno, and we were getting ready for all the tourists to come in and take their seats, which. I was in charge of seating that audience, and they never switched off. I had to do that for 6 months, and it was exhausting. But now that I look back at it, I feel like telling myself just to grow up. But I remember complaining because I was every day it was this long process of seating 340 people or something like that.
It's hot because you guys were wearing
this
wool uniforms.
Yeah. It was just really interesting because you did see such a cross section of people.
Oh, the people watching was real.
They were all there for a different reason.
Everyone was self-important because they all thought, we're getting in. We have tickets.
We're here.
No seat was good enough.
Yeah.
They all deserved the front.
Nobody else matters except for us because we're on vacation.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
But I remember talking with Kelly, and she was talking about her previous positions, and I could relate to her when it came to having to hang in there and having to really make whatever you're given work. And I just really related to you. Because, at that time, you had just moved across the country.
I was given 10 days to move across the country. I don't know what your phone call experience was.
I was already in LA.
I had a very interesting... I probably told this story to everybody that asked me about my Page experience. I was about to walk down into the subway. It was pouring rain. Literally a scene out of a movie. And I was, so at my breaking point and wanted out of where I was and just really defeated. I was probably crying too, just about to walk into the subway, and I see an 818 area code calling my phone, and I'm just like,
who is this?
That's Burbank. I haven't seen that in a while. Like, who could this be? So I'm like, you know what? I'll pick it up. I'll see what it is. And it was a call for the Page program, and I'm like, thank God I didn't go down to the subway any earlier. Just the stars aligned in this weird way that I feel like this could apply really to any situation. It's like when you have really hit your bottom, something turns around.
Yep.
It's just you need to really get to the point where you can't take it anymore before something happens. At least that's my experience.
Yeah.
I got my call from the Page program to join and to begin when I was driving to AfterBuzz TV for the first time for an informational meeting, and I was out of work and at my lowest point at that point too, because I was just out of school and I was just working on reality shows, day playing a couple days here and there. And then I was like, it's funny, I got picked up to do AfterBuzz the same day I got picked up to be at NBC, where I have now started a new job over there now. It's very odd, but it's all very real.
Yeah, I remember a long time ago, because we both kind of went through the post-grad and the job search and everything kind of together, and we were always talking to each other and kind of keeping each other up. And I remember saying a long time ago, when it rains, it pours. And I have always had that. So
I've always said that.
You'll get 100 things or nothing. And I'm sure it's different for everyone, but we've both, I would say, experienced that.
No, 100%. I think the biggest thing is, back then, it was 2011. The economy was really bad in terms of jobs. There was a scarcity of opportunities. There weren't
100%.
In order to get an entry level job back then was so hard. So hard.
I mean, NBC was not even the same company that it is today in so many respects.
I was interning pre-Comcast.
Yeah.
So it was.
When did they?
It went through
11.
in 2012.
Right.
Which it's just kind of such.
That's exactly when I started.
I mean, the world that we were job searching in, it wasn't that long ago, but just there was I didn't have a smartphone. I didn't have and I don't feel old enough to be able to say back in my day, but I kind of do feel that way. It's just the way you would approach something now is so different.
It is, especially with the job search. LinkedIn isn't what it was back then. Nowadays, everyone has a profile, or everyone uses LinkedIn for connecting.
There are a million job sites now. You don't know which one to sign up for, which one's really worth it.
Yeah, and I think today LinkedIn has become so centralized in the job search. At least it was, for me and a lot of friends. I tell them to. I mean, for entertainment it might be different, but that's where a lot of people connect.
I also think the biggest problem too with just kind of people moving to LA is not knowing what they want. You are not going to hit a moving target, so you need to have some boundaries. So so many people I'll get calls that, hey, I just found you or whatever, and I found your information, and I just moved to LA, and I want to do this, and I'm just you have given me such a broad
I have a friend that wants to work in music, and I'm like,
what does that mean? That's I want to work in America. I don't know.
I know. I mean,
what to do, because you just kind of have to pick something.
But what I do...
I mean, you need to look at the size of these companies. They're all under these big conglomerate umbrellas. There's just too many places to go. It's not
you have to do your homework. If you don't understand the world that you want to work in, you are not going to work in it.
Yeah, it's
And
true.
that's any industry. It's not just
Very true.
entertainment.
Good advice. Good advice. I want to hear a little bit of a story that you guys had out there working in the business or something that came across your way. Anyone got any good stories? I know Kelly's got one.
This was more of an LA living situation that I just... You would not have this experience any other way. I was at the doctor's office and just go up to the sign-in sheet like everyone else. And I see Zooey Deschanel as the name above mine. And I'm like, okay, someone is just joking around, whatever. Can't possibly be her. And if it is her, she would never use her real name on like a random sign-in sheet. Turns out it was her. She was there at the office with her boyfriend, and I'm sitting there and I'm watching them and I'm like, why is she here with her boyfriend? Like, she must be pregnant. Like, so I immediately reach out to my friends that work in entertainment news, and I'm like, she's pregnant. Like, this is it. Like, I broke the story. They reach out to her reps, and the reps deny. The next day, the story comes out that she's pregnant. And I'm just
There
like,
you go.
you're welcome. I broke that story.
On the scene, eyewitness.
I like to think that that was something that I contributed to entertainment news. And sorry, Zoe.
Sorry, Zoe, and any HIPAA laws.
Probably broke tons of laws, but she had the baby, so it's okay.
It's all good.
I mean, I think a story, this was back like 6 years ago. My friends and I were driving on the 10, and we were coming back from the beach, and we see this couple in a Ferrari, and we're driving behind them, and then I look around, I'm like, I feel like I recognize these people, and it was Ashton Kutcher and Demi Lovato. Demi Moore, and I was like, we were like freaking out because like it was such a Hollywood moment. Like these two big stars in a Ferrari, like he's driving a Ferrari and they're both like, you know, top down, like wind in their hair, total Hollywood moment. And we're just like, oh my gosh, it's them. So I tell my friend to pull up next to them, like right up next to them. And she honks, and I like get out of the car and like I wave at them, and they look over and they wave back, and we were like freaking out because it was so cool. Like this was back when they were really big, so it was years ago, and they were like waving at us, and they smiled, and it was cool. It was such a random like.
Yeah, I always wonder who I pass on the road. You know,
we always bump into people. At least I always do. Yeah,
I'm always like.
I see people a lot.
When I'm not getting in car accidents, like I'm like,
oh my gosh, yeah, we like always see like,
especially when we're together, we somehow always.
I've seen people from like Teen Wolf.
We have a lot of luck.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Oh yeah, we ran into. I of course was a nerd and NBC nerd, and I'm like Hannibal, and I'm screaming that out, and Jen actually knows his name. Yeah,
it was great. It was just, and we get to see really cool people, and it's. I mean, one of the.
Part of the job too, I think I'm really lucky to work on a studio lot where there's always
people
activity and people coming for meetings and shooting and stuff, so that
it's like an everyday
just
thing.
In LA, I mean, it's not lost on me that I work at on a theme park, and I can see Jurassic Park from my office window, and people pay to take a tour of the place that I work, and that is never lost on me.
True.
Because I could be in a windowless cubicle 3,000 miles away.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna assume it's raining because let's make it more dramatic.
Right.
So that's, I mean, that will never be lost on me.
It's a good thing. Speaking of seeing people in cars, the only person I actually saw in a car was President Obama, and it was definitely him because it was the full motorcade, and they drove by one of my apartments in the past. Cool. And it was like I was looking, and they had a couple like decoys like in there, and it was definitely him because that car looked like no other SUV I've ever seen, and he was waving, and he was looking up, and I know what he looks like. and the glass had just enough of a reflection where you could see, like, I could see his white collar, and it was him. And so that was really cool because it was like literally right outside my place.
What kind of car was he in?
One of those big Cadillacs, like,
Wow.
like, I mean,
So
they're
regal.
worth like $400,000. Like, you can't even put anything under it. Like, I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
so that was really cool and kind of unexpected. And that was like when Ashton and Demi were at their peak. That was when Obama was like at his peak. Yeah, that was a good view. Well, I love a good celebrity story, and I really like the stories you had and the advice about trying to make it and keeping it moving out here. So thank you so much for coming in. I'm glad that we finally got you guys on the show.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having
Of
us.
course. You guys, please keep an eye out for when our show moves to Bid Chat. And our show will continue as a podcast, of course, but there's going to be new elements, new ways to interact and join the rant. So please keep an eye open for that. We're looking at July for that premiere, so keep it locked here and on our Facebook, Grants Rants Hollywood Talk. And of course, you can always tweet me over on Twitter. Thank you very much for listening. I appreciate every single one of y'all.
This has been Grants Rants. Follow us on Twitter at Grants__Rants. Cover art created by Howie Ronay. Voiceover by Sir Richard Wentworth. Original theme music composed by Alexander Arnson.